Welcome into Inside the Race here post Brickyard 400. Another impressive performance by the 24-year-old Corey Heim in a part-time schedule. His second win and only his 15th start in the Cup Series. We're going to have Bootie Barker join us in studio. It's going to be so much fun to talk to Bootie virtually and figure out just what it's like to crew chief for Corey Heim and understand how much fun he's having at 2311. Alex Weaver is back with another episode of Inside the Race Overtime. And who else? Her guest, race winner Corey Heim, although the interview was pre-Victory Lane Brickyard, so don't get too excited. He is only a one-time winner at the time of the interview. Todd Gordon is going to join me in the lab where we break down that final restart. But joining me now and here in studio to talk all about the Brickyard, we're going to have Kyle Petty and Matt Weaver from motorsports.com. Well, as promised, in studio today, Kyle Petty and a special guest, first time on the show, Matt Weaver, senior NASCAR editor at motorsport.com. Matt, welcome in. Good luck. The conversation could go anywhere, and you're sitting next to a guy who always has an opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I've got opinions, too. We're ready to go head-to-head on this.
Good. All right, I love it. KP, good to see you. Let's jump right in. Let's start with the guy who's done something that hasn't been done since 1965. Corey Heim wins for the second time in only 15 starts. A.J. Foyt. That's a pretty impressive name to match on the record books. You see a lot of racing, KP. We're going to get to you. Let the guests go first. Thoughts on Heim and how impressive this run has been?
Well, listen, there's a lot of variables that went into this race, and I don't think they were quite the best car on pace or speed. Certainly, you can attest to that better. But what I'm so impressed about Corey and that team and Bootie leading that team is they're always, especially here lately, they're always in the mix. And that's the key to winning races. That's the key to putting seasons together once they go full time. Even though they didn't win Joliet, it was clear they were contenders in that race. And he is just so polished at making the right decisions and right moves.
It's funny you say polished. KP, you've seen it all.
Yeah, feels like it.
Jeff Gordon shows up as nearly a teenager.
Yeah.
You got to go younger.
Yeah.
The late, great Kyle Busch shows up as a teenager. You got to go younger. But then Jimmy Johnson shows up in his 20s.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good career. Matt Kenseth showed up late in his career, had a pretty good career. Corey Heim at 24 told me after San Diego that he purposely waited on getting the right opportunity.
Yeah.
Didn't jump at every offer. He had confidence in his ability to get in the right equipment. Two parts, I guess. Are you shocked in today's day and age he was able to pull it off? And I guess the second part would be, is it a right direct decision? But it seems to be obvious to that answer.
Well, yeah, for him it's obvious. Okay, and I'm going to say that because I believe he's an exceptional talent. And when you are an exceptional talent, you can pick and choose. A lot of drivers can't pick and choose. You got to jump when you can jump. And there's a number of them that are in Cup cars right now that jump too soon, but they had to jump and had to take that because they couldn't hold Toyota off. They couldn't hold somebody off. So yeah, I am surprised. You know, if you go back to Earnhardt and Terry Labonte and guys like that, they were late 20s when they started.
Yeah.
Some guys didn't start until their 30s. That's the way Cup was. But they went until they were 54, 55 years old too. Now they start in their teens and go to early 40s. So it's all been skewed. And Jeff started it. You're exactly right. But I think Corey is such a talent that he could pick and choose. He could chart his course and do things his way, and he has done things his way.
You'll learn to never study the rundown because I go off script right away. This will be the first time. Why? For 2 decades we have seen, or a decade and a half, we have seen the money, as Kyle just said, drive perhaps the next driver. I will argue, I feel that's going away. I think Corey Heim is a premier talent. I think Brent Cruz and the O'Reilly Series is a premier talent. I think these drivers, Connor Zilisch, premier talent. SVG proving he's a premier talent. So we've gone from drivers that are good,
Yeah.
but they are financially backed, to whom I believe are just the best. A, do you agree? And then why is it this way?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are so many factors that go into this that it would make a terrible TV show if I just wax poetic. But I'll try to go bullet point. One, I think the charter system. We spent an entire winter last year talking
Healthier
about how
teams. Like healthier teams.
Oh,
Charter
yeah,
system,
yeah.
healthier
Well,
teams.
we need to offset the need for drivers to bring money so we can focus on bringing the best talent into our programs. I think that's a factor. But also this next-gen car, when you bring everyone tighter and closer together, I think the driver crew chief pairing, the talent with the team stands out more than just having great engineering.
Yeah.
And you need drivers who can carry a team. And so I think that when you look at a Corey Heim, he's a mega talented driver. Bootie Barker said he believes he's amongst the best right now, which blew my mind when he said that yesterday. He says right now he's basically a top 5 driver. And I think that when it came to his decision for why he waited and was super patient, is that he was given the conviction that he was going to land exactly where he did, and that's the best place for him to be, even if it meant spending another couple of years with Scott Zipadelli in the Truck Series. And he knew that he would land with a Toyota team that's basically on par with JGR, and this would be the maximum potential of their team, and it's validated.
So I'm going to say this, and and I agree with some of those points.
I
agree with some of them. But here's what I think: manufacturers find talent because manufacturers want to win races. It's got nothing to do with the sponsors. It's got nothing to do with you bringing money. Toyota wants that car in victory lane. Ford wants the car in victory lane. If we look at the talent that has come along recently that didn't bring money, that was talent, it's come through a manufacturer. A manufacturer has driven it from the very beginning, whether it be Ford, whether it be Chevy, whether it be Toyota. So I think that's the big change. I think that's the big change in this point in time. Manufacturers were not vested in the sport. If we go back to late 90s, early 2000s, they weren't vested the way they are now. They are vested in this sport to a degree that they've never been in the history of the sport. And we can go back to the 60s when it was win on Sunday, sell on Monday, that type thing. But right now, I think the biggest driver of this are the manufacturers who see these kids at a Bandolero track, at a quarter midget track, and they're like, put that guy on your list. We're going to follow him for a little while.
And Toyota's been the leader in that.
Yes,
Oh,
too.
they have.
For sure,
Toyota's
for sure,
driver
for
development's
sure,
great.
for
So let's talk 2 young superstars. Connor Zilisch just turned 20 years old. Corey Heim, 24. Let's talk about the difference in approaches, because I am willing to say that as amazing as Corey Heim is, I don't think we've even seen what Zilisch is capable yet. It's been an awful year. Some mistakes of his own, some are just bad luck. By design, Heim runs every handful of races, more time to prepare. Yeah. Zilisch runs every single week, which I understand that's also reps. It would seem currently that more time to prepare has showed more fruit for Corey Heim compared to Connor Zilisch. I'd like to get your guys' opinion on, is this a talent that we're seeing different? Is it equipment? Because to be clear, Trackhouse isn't leading laps either.
I'm gonna tee everybody off. It's all equipment. In this case, it's equipment. Listen, I said,
a big head nod. This is a good group.
So hold on. So I said, if we go back in time, when Matt Kenseth left Roush and went to Gibbs and won a million races and did everything that Matt did, I said at that time, I guess Jack Roush is the only guy who could keep Matt Kenseth from winning races, because while he was there, he couldn't do anything. I mean, he won races and won championship, don't get me wrong, but he was a superstar at Gibbs. I think when we look at where Trackhouse is and where 2311 is, they're not even, they're competing on the same racetrack, but they're not in the same league. It's 2 different divisions on the same racetrack.
Hey, no argument here.
So I don't believe that we've seen Connor's full potential. Connor's potential is being tapped down by the equipment he's in. And I think if we look at Corey's potential is being magnified by the equipment he's in. So it's 2 totally different spectrums. We look into
I would
2
add
different
that 4 years is real.
Yeah.
I have a 23-year-old son. So when I watch Connor, he'll make a mistake that's just inexperienced. I see SVG make the same mistake. I see Heim make the mistake. I've analyzed a lot of races. I'm like, oh, that's just inexperience. He'll figure that out. But then every once in a while, he'll do something. I'm like, well, that's 20 years old, right? Like that's inexperienced in life. Yeah, will come over time. And Zilisch, and we both know from 20 to 24, or at least I can speak of it. I know you well enough that you can speak of it. You'll learn a lot from 20 to 24. It's a pretty steep learning curve.
I'm still learning.
Even as mature as Zilisch is, he's still just 20 years old. All right, this is going to be
real quick. So 3 years ago, I was still watching Connor Zilisch in the Cars tour.
Yeah.
He was driving the Miatas. Like at the same time, Corey Heim was running high level in the Truck Series, making his mistakes, learning from them.
So you're saying that now we don't see him a lot. You feel like Heim is just ahead on big, heavy, full-body NASCAR action.
Racecraft experience.
Yeah.
See, I like that. This This is going to be the topic of the week, so I'm just going to jump right into it. 30th running for NASCAR on the Brickyard Oval. I know we've been there more times. We're going to put the road courses on the shelf. We've seen news stories made both positive and negative. Jeff Gordon won the first. We went there, couldn't run tires more than 9 laps. We have had huge wrecks. We have had many overtimes. We have had some very sleepy races. I was entertained on Sunday. But was that a great race with overtaking and passing and door-to-door? No one is going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, everybody could do what they could do. They were very much parked behind one another. As an analyst, I can look past the lack of passing because I knew it on Monday and the crew chiefs knew it and there was a whole strategy to run the race. Let me start with, does NASCAR need to react? Let's start with that simple question. From what you saw on Sunday, do the fans deserve or have they earned, or the drivers who say they can't pass, is there a reaction that needs to be done by the sanctioning body for the package of rules we run at Indy?
Well,
it's a loaded question. That's why I'm starting with you. Welcome to the show.
It is such a loaded question that it's hard to boil it down into a clippable answer, right? Because to a certain degree, this is the Brickyard 400. Is it a more extreme version of it? Certainly. Is it this car? Was it another variable? Sure. But I think you have to go into this race recognizing that, it's going to be hard to pass. It's a single groove racetrack, and these are big, heavy stock cars, and this just comes with the territory. But I also think you have to listen to the fans. If the fans say they want something, you owe it to them to try to do something else, which, by the way, NASCAR's done here already. We did a couple of years on the road course. That was a response to fans saying, this doesn't cut it for us. And I think we were right back at that point in 2020 where we landed in the time frame of doing something else. I don't know if that's the super speedway style package, the Atlanta package. I don't know. But I think Steve O'Donnell and company have to go into a room and say, can we do something different?
So I'm going to answer my own loaded question before I let KP go because I put you on the spot. I, as a race fan, am entertained by what I just saw. So I think the answer can be yes to both questions, right? Did I like what I just saw? Yes. Was I entertained? Yes. Do I think changes need to be made? Yes. So I think all can be true. Yeah. And I will follow it up as, do I think changes will make a difference? No. I think we can't move the needle far enough to change the way that race looks. It's a single mile rectangular racetrack. It's raced like that forever. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it or shouldn't try. So I think that's why I worded it the way I did, right, KB? Because I don't think changes need to be made because we know we have an answer. Yeah. Sometimes something can be changed just to maybe re-energize the interest from the fan base. Now, to be honest, I will say, here's my hot take, KP. I don't think the Brickyard 400's for the fans.
Yeah.
I think we run all year long for the fans. When I walk through the garage area, the Brickyard 400 means more in the garage than perhaps to the fan base. I know as someone who competed there, the opportunity to race on that racetrack, a racetrack I grew up as a little kid, watching the Indy 500. I mean, the Indy 500, I'm an NASCAR guy through and through, but there's no bigger race in the globe than the Indy 500. That's fact, right? It just is, right? We have our Daytona 500, and it is without a doubt our biggest race. But the chance of racing on that racetrack was special to me. So dare I say this is an event for the competitors. So they have a chance to drive, crew chief, or pick cars around the yard of bricks.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I'll give you that. So here's what I'm going to say is and I've said it from the very beginning. I didn't think we needed to go to Indy as NASCAR from the very beginning. That's their hallowed ground. Daytona's ours, okay? And we didn't need to cross over. This is the reason, Indianapolis is one of the reasons, maybe the main reason, that there is motorsports in North America and in the United States. I have to give it, you point to that. It's a sacred place. Is it big to race there? It is big to race there, but only because of it's Indianapolis, only because of the history that Indy cars have created there, that Mario Andretti, that Troy Ruttman, that guys like that created. It's not big for me. It's not big for me. I didn't see Lee Petty win here. I didn't see Buck Baker. I didn't see Junior Johnson. I have no history there. My DNA has no history at Indianapolis. Is it a big event? Yes. Just like going to Augusta and playing around the golf would be a big event for you. Yep. But it's not the Masters, dude.
Right.
It's not the Masters. This is not a crown jewel, okay? AI says this is not a crown jewel in NASCAR. If you look it up on an AI, It's not a crown jewel for NASCAR. It's Charlotte, it's Daytona, and it's Darlington. That's where our history is. This is not our history. It is big, and it is big for the competitors to be able to go. Listen, I'll use this as an example. I got to play the Grand Ole Opry. I stood on the stage at the Ryman Auditorium. Does that make me a country music star? Does that put me in the same league? No, it's not. I just got to go and play where legends had played, where other people play. We go and play where other people played. And it's their history. It's not my history. I'm that small in that history. We're this small in this history. They've been doing this thing for 100 and some odd years. So when I look at it, I think it is. Obviously, it's not for the fans because there's not a lot showing up right now.
I would argue, though,
You know what I mean?
75,000
75,000.
will fill Iowa 3 times over, or 2.5 times over. Would fill North Wilkesboro. But I've seen what 250,000 look like.
But
also.
75,000 for a crown jewel event? No. Yeah, and
I don't know how many does Charlotte seat. I'll push back on that.
No.
I bet the 600 only has 75,000. I don't know the truth.
Yeah, but that's all right too. Okay, but listen, I've been getting pushback all week on X, and some guy said the racing at Charlotte was so bad they turned it into a road course. Voila, they turned this one into a road course too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Don't use that argument with me. So my thing is, but Charlotte was built from 15,000 people watching to where it's at. So it's come this way, and yeah, it's not full. Daytona's not always full. Our crown jewels are not always full. That's not what I'm going to say. But and money, I heard somebody say on X, it's about the money. You can't buy your way to a crown jewel.
Yeah.
You just can't buy your way to it. When I walk through my dad's house, I say this, and I've said it for 1,000 years. I see trophies. I don't see checks. He was one of the first guys to go over $150,000 in winning for a year. First guy to win a million. Do I see that? No, you don't see that. Because those records are going to get busted year after year after year. But you can't take that championship trophy away. You can't take that. So money doesn't buy you there either. But I do say this, back to your point. I like that we go there as a sport. I like the excitement that it brings to the teams. I like the excitement that it brings to the winners, the guys who have won it, the guys who have run up front, the guys who have made the calls, the guys who have put it all on the line to win this race. I do like that. Is it here for me? No. But it's not here either. Yeah. It's bumping here.
Yeah.
It's bumping because I'd love to play golf at Augusta. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd like to say I just went there and played golf. You know what I mean? I'd like to say I took batting practice at Wrigley Field. You know what I mean? There's places that are special to the sport, and I think Indy is special to motorsports. And for NASCAR to be there, it's special.
Let me add to this. This is the important question to me that we have to address. Why are we going there? And I think that the inaugural Brickyard 400 served a purpose. It was the perfect race at the perfect time for NASCAR to emerge as the motorsport in North America and, coerce the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar into doing it on their property to supplant them as P1 in America. That was the reason to be there then. It was never the racing product. It was never this extraordinary race. But for 15, 20 years, you raced in front of these large crowds, the spectacle. It felt like an extension of the Indianapolis 500 that we do not have anymore. So if you don't have...
So it felt like the baby brother.
It felt like the twin. It felt like the
I'm not
twin.
going to give you twin, but I'll give you baby brother.
Those first handful of years, it looked like the Indianapolis 500. So if we're not going there for the atmosphere, the 250,000 people, we're not going there for the product, then what purpose does it serve and where NASCAR wants to go? Because we've talked so much in the last 5 years about what is our identity, who are we, where do we want to go? Steve O'Donnell's talking about the 2032 schedule already in terms of identity. And this is the most important part. Steve, you say this is a race for the teams, but the teams are not necessarily the biggest advocates. We need the fans to say, this is why you watch NASCAR. This is why you need to be a fan of what we do. And if this track and this product doesn't serve that core premise of having our loudest advocates be loud, then why are we here?
So my answer to that question is simple. I think going to each racetrack only once has been an improvement to many, many racetracks around the country, and there's not enough ovals.
Yep.
Like if you really want to talk about it,
Yeah.
where else? Okay, if we don't go to Indy, where do you want to go? You want to add a race to Kansas? You want to go back to Pocono for a second? I'm only countering the argument, right?
No.
Yeah. And
I'm-
75,000
so this-
people. I agree that the fans didn't love it, but we sold 75,000 seats. So name another venue, because
Montreal.
I'm on board with it.
Which I know is not our identity,
No.
but it's a market that wants
I'll
us.
give you
Yeah.
that. That's
That's
valid.
the first better answer I've heard. I guess
Yeah.
that would be my counter to this would be, I'm in the minority because I know a lot of my coworkers would agree with you that why are we there? My statement would be that we have the opportunity to race on the most famous racetrack in the world. And I believe we're the biggest racing series in North America, without a doubt. And the fact that IndyCar and Roger Penske allows us or grants us the right to race on his racetrack, I think we take that opportunity. So my argument would be we got to continue to create the best version of the Brickyard 400. But if we just run away from it in today's current market of racetracks around the country, I think there's other tracks that should lose a date before Indianapolis.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when we talk about a
I agree with that.
restructure,
Agreed.
I
you look at Indiana's
do agree with that.
silo,
I
it's
do
a
agree
little
with
bit
that.
clearer
I
picture.
do
But if
agree
you
with
look at
that.
Indy as one of 36, I think it becomes a much harder decision to lead Indianapolis, not to mention the market of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I will add this. I don't believe, and this is just me, I don't believe we need a special car just to go run in.
that's my
with
argument.
a special set of rules.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't believe we need to be there enough to create another division of a Cup car.
So I did
and
ask,
another
though, I will
entity.
say this, though, and I don't know the answer because I haven't really looked into it. Where else could we do an Indy, Pocono? Like, I'm okay if we can maybe put six races, right? We have 6 speedway races. We have a separate rules package there.
Yeah,
I'm okay if we want to try something, but I agree that can't be an Indy one-off.
It can't be a
Because
one-off.
If it's an Indy one-off, you just line up and say, hey, guys, work on your strategy. You know it's going to win the race.
But I do like, I will say this, I do like with IndyCar, maybe IndyCar did it or Formula One did it, where they had a base package and you had add-on pieces that created this or that. Now, if you had a
speedway
base,
package.
if you had a base speedway and you added this deflector or this this splitter or this diffuser, and you run that at Indy and you run this at Daytona, I'm okay with that. I'm okay because you've got variations on a base. Yeah, I'm okay with that. But just a particular car and say, well, that's just my Indy car.
Well, let's talk about the finger heard around the world. Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim.
Love that.
Feud that I didn't know we needed, and I love that it's here because these are 2 young stars that are pedal pushers, man. They're going to run up front. They're going to lead laps. They're going to have a feud at the front of the field, which is where the best battles happen.
Yeah.
Right? So let's review how this all happened. 2023, in my opinion, I'm sure there was things before this, but this was the first big bullet point. They get together in the truck race when the championship was on the line. Rewind a few weeks ago, Heim gets Hocevar at Coronado. Go to Indianapolis, set the stage. Hocevar sits on the pole, doing great. Green flag pit stops, blends back on the racetrack behind Corey Heim.
Yes.
That strategy was short on fuel. He really needed to make some lap time. Being pinned behind the 67, he could not get by him. Why I think that matters, I compare him to Denny Hamlin. He lost 5 seconds in his strategy. Now, I think the 77 was a little bit in trouble in stage 1 as early as they pitted, but they had a chance.
Yeah.
I think that 5 seconds he lost behind Corey Heim was a real, kind of dagger to the strategy of the 77. He then shows it. The clip's amazing. Check it out. You have Heim coming to pit road. Hocevar not only says he's number 1, but he gives the big zig down to him. I asked Heim if he saw it after the race. Heim's response, I didn't see this number 1 sign. That's at 170 miles an hour. But I did serve him up a big L because I beat him.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like I don't have a favorite. It's a great rivalry.
Oh, it's great. And first, let me go to Carson coming out behind Heim. And we talk about it all the time. When somebody gets out of a car and they'll say, I'm going to pay him back. I'm going to get even. That's getting even without tearing up anything.
Oh, it was well done.
That's getting even. That's Corey Heim getting even with Carson Hocevar for past things that have happened that he needed to get showing that I can do this too. I love that Hocevar leaves the racing groove and comes down the pit road.
I thought he was going to hit the orange box.
To give the signal. I love that part of it. And you need this. We talk about it all the time, okay? And I know you guys talk about it too. We talk about rivalries. We talk about guys that don't like each other. But we don't have it weekly. We don't have it all the time. We've got two guys here that are coming the ranks climbing at the same time. We got the one on the right here, Corey Heim, with 2 wins. Hocevar on the other side with 1 win. We're going to watch him climb that win ladder. We're going to watch him climb to the top of the sharp end of the stick, all at the same time. You're looking at Richard Petty and David Pearson. You're looking at Earnhardt and everybody that he raced against. You're looking at Jeff Gordon and these guys. They're going to come up through there, and we're going to have this for the next 10 or 15 years. I hope and pray. I hope and pray this is not the last finger we see between these two.
I got a
in the
crazy
history of time.
take. If it was easy to pass at Indy, you wouldn't have flipped them off.
That's exactly right.
That's fair.
Like, I'm just saying,
That's
we don't
exactly
love
right.
racing, but if it's easy to pass at
Yep.
Indy, this never
that's
would have
true.
happened. We wouldn't have had that. New
That's
tires
true.
would have drove by the 67 and drove on by.
That's
like,
true.
There's part of the frustration that I love it. Matt, you cover racing all over. You've seen it all. You've seen these two race. Am I crazy? Like, where do you stand on this?
There is so much I love about this, but I want to backtrack just a little bit. I think the worst thing that NASCAR has done in the last decade was the fine to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for the All-Star race punching Kyle Busch, because it was an admission that we don't want this, that we don't want the rivalries, we don't want fighting. And I think that is so core to NASCAR's identity of who we are, is this guy doesn't like this guy and wants to beat him on the racetrack. And so the fact that these two young guns who represent the future, the next 20 years of the sport, do not like each other, that is like a foundational piece to making this thing grow. I want guy A not to like guy B. And they're just going to entertain us for the next 2 decades.
Why I love it is because it's not manufactured. I
No,
literally
it's not.
asked on set if Heim saw this, and he said no, and he had no calculated response. He literally was like, yeah, I served them up the L. Like, I don't think there's like a hatred or anything. They just have no use for one another.
and here's
They know
the
they're gonna
other
race
thing,
each
too.
other on the racetrack.
Is that if we're gonna have a feud too, I want it to be between 2 top guys. Like
That's right.
when
Totally.
when
That's
Hocevar
exactly
is like messing around with Zane Smith, that's not additive to anyone.
No.
I agree with that.
And like I would tell Carson, he's like, you know, listen, I appreciate that Carson is so authentically true to himself that he will get into it and scrap with anyone. But I would tell Carson, hey man, like you're not supposed to be a rival to Zane Smith. Zane Smith right now in that car, they're P30, and you're racing for a championship. You're 5th in points. If you're going to be in a rivalry with anyone, that's good. That's good for business. But it needs to be a guy that's winning races and is going to contend for a championship. This is a good rivalry.
But what I like about Carson right now is that you've got Zane Smith that doesn't like him, but you got Denny Hamlin on the other side that doesn't have much use for him either. You know what I mean? The guys on both ends, he's somewhere here. And let's say he's 5th, 6th, 7th in line, wherever he's at in points, and contending for wins, setting on the pole at Indy, doing big things. So you've got the guys who are established that don't really appreciate him, but you got the guys behind him too that don't appreciate him. So now you fall into that category that he's going to be a rival for everybody. Everybody's going to take shots at him at some point in time. And I think that's going to happen for a long time.
I'm going to finish with this. If Carson Hocevar and Spire doesn't print a shirt with that car on it and a big foam middle finger
Yeah,
out the
that's
window,
exactly right.
then they've missed a huge opportunity to sell T-shirts.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
It's that time of the week again here on Inside the Race, where we're going to look at some weekend winners brought to you by Powerball. Kyle Petty, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Give me your weekend winner.
So my weekend winner is not a single team. It is a single manufacturer. It is Ford. Put 4 Fords in the top 10 in Indianapolis, with Joey Logano being 3rd. I did not expect the Fords and the lack of speed that we've seen at other places, other intermediate tracks, other flat tracks, other places. I didn't expect them to even be in the top 10 or 15. We didn't see stellar qualifying out of all of them, but I will give it to Ford, the manufacturer, for coming back and making a statement.
My weekend winner, the Todd father, Todd Gilliland,
yep.
the Grillo man.
Good one.
This wasn't my idea, but somebody
Awesome.
called him. Check this out. $1 million dill, like dill pickle.
Good.
That's a
Good.
new one I hadn't heard yet.
Yeah,
But
what's the deal,
You
Pickle?
got to give Todd Gillen. He's my
Yes.
weekend winner. He beat Ryan Blaney in the list of drivers that he eliminated in the in-season
Crazy.
challenge. Suarez, Hocevar, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. It's
Crazy.
a stacked who's who. So Todd Gillen, my weekend winner for winning the in-season challenge. There you have it. Weekend winners from Indianapolis, brought to you by Powerball. A big thanks to Kyle Petty and Motorsports.com's Matt Weaver for coming in and joining me. I always love get differing opinions, and KP always have them. Matt Weaver as well. So much fun to talk all of those topics. But when it's time to get technical, no guy knows better than my next guest. Todd Gordon's going to join me in the lab where we break down the restarts from Indy. Welcome into my lab here on Inside the Race. Joining me today, Todd Gordon, Championship Crew Chief. Todd, a lot of things to talk about in Indianapolis, but I think it was this right here. The final restart was the decision maker for the 67 over the 11.
Yeah, it definitely was, and really got help from Joey Logano, a great pusher when it comes to restarts, in a situation where the restart before, he had been taken advantage of by Joey, but lines up differently here.
Yeah, Joey Logano on the outside. Just remind everybody what happened. Some disconnection between Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell. Logano shoves the 67 by. The race, it continues with a nice block, but that was the moment that it kind of all came apart. No surprise, the guy that knew what happened best, Denny Hamlin. So before we break it down, let's listen to Denny Hamlin's comments post-race about that restart.
You know, it's really more on us and the 20 and the 19 of just not orchestrating good pushes there, and we came detached at the wrong time. I thought the 20 obviously was on board with getting us the push. It just was way too early before the restart zone. I can't go until we get to the restart zone, and he said that Briscoe was on him way early or laying back, one of the two, and that's how you lose them.
That's how you lose them. There's a reason that guy's won 64 wins, because that's straight out of the race car, and I think his analysis is dead on.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like happens to me.
Yeah, definitely. If you go back and roll that one, you look at it, the 20 as he entered the restart zone, they were stacked up, but that put him before he could go. When he finally does launch, the 20's not in the gas. He's already kind of been in him and lifted off of it, breaks loose of him here. Joey Logano, great momentum, just building, rolling to the 67, kind of aware of what's going on. That puts them in a position where that 67 gets a good push down the straightaway.
I mean, very simply, momentum heading in this direction versus this direction on the 11.
And you see even the 20 back to the 19, there's a break between those two. So there's no connection anywhere in that bottom line.
This is actually really impressive, right? Because it's not just one. You want to talk about how you get a good push. 5 cars bumper to bumper, no ricocheting, no bouncing. That's a pretty easy situation, and you see the result as it moves forward. I mean, the 22 finally gets pushed off the front, but look at the momentum. It's heading forward. All right, so Denny talked about too early in the restart zone. So there's a million ways to look at this. I'm trying to figure out the best way. I believe, let's go, how about this? Let's go on the onboard. A lot going on right here. So on the left-hand side, onboard with Bell, the 11. On the right-hand side, Joey Logano, commonly the best pusher in the series,
and I think
67 leading.
that's part of what we see here as well, is that Joey Logano is a great restart pusher. I've been the reward of that as his crew chief back in the day, but he's on him here with building a little bit of momentum and still keeping throttle loaded up. Christopher Bell engaged to Denny, but he separates off of Denny as they get to the point where he needs to go.
Yeah, remember, we're still not in the restart zone. I'm going to play it nice and slow because the restart zone is going to appear over the right spoiler of the 67. There you go. You see that orange box? This orange box right here. We see what's painted on the wall, but that's the start of the restart zone, and these drivers know it. And as they move forward, and you see instantly the 11 drives off the nose of the 20. The 22 is still connected, shoving him by.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me, like the 20 didn't anticipate coming to the restart zone with momentum. He was engaged early, but both of them were engaged early, but Joey kind of maintained that pace that Denny was setting on Corey Heim's bumper and maintained his position to be able to push.
Here's another great angle of it, right? You're going to look to the left and just watch this thing right here. Just, they get a little push, but the push is too early. That really tells the story. Let's do that one more time. So here's what I really want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the connection of these two cars right here. It's the same thing you're seeing on the left side of your screen. They push, but it's almost too early. Watch this. Goes, and then accelerates.
And really that push almost put Denny in a position where Corey Heim was a half a car length lagged. And then Corey Heim had momentum at Denny coming into that restart zone. When Denny launched, Corey Heim was actually equal to him with a little bit of forward momentum and a great push from behind.
All right, let's jump into the data. Left side of the screen, the animated image from the GPS location of the cars. Right side looks noisy. The bouncy line is the throttle. The flat line at the bottom is the brake. Let's talk about what's super consistent. The brake is very consistent for both guys, right? They ride a little bit of brake trying to not spin the rear tires. I really want to focus, I know there's a lot going on, but I really want to focus out here because that's really the only place that really matters. The rest of that is the lap leading up to. So as I play this forward, I want you to watch the restart on the left side of your screen. This is the same thing we showed you, right? So we're going to see these three cars. I'm going to pause it. This is very important. Denny Hamlin mentioned Chase Briscoe.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Chase Briscoe in the videos. Well, if you look now, the 19 is into the 20's rear bumper, who is into the 11. So at this point, Bell, I'm not sure, is really even controlling the speed of his car as much as Briscoe is controlling the speed of his car. This really shows up when we go over here and we look at the throttle, right? Because I want to look at this. This is going to be crazy. It's noisy, but just follow me for a minute. We're going to noise this out right here. This is just tire warming. This is Bell. Throttle, boom. Right? Don't you agree?
Yes. Yes.
That's
And if you look at the orange line here is Joey Logano in the outside lane.
Like this.
But you can see where he's building that pressure onto the 67's bumper. And really, to your point, as Bell started to, he got it from behind, and that forced him kind of in a retracting throttle, not building momentum.
I know that's so crazy to look at. Look, I know this is crazy because it's not much. But the gap between that line, and that's what we're talking about. We're only talking about this little area, and this is a guy kind of rolling in the gas, and this is a guy. The reason I was not rolling in the gas, I think it's because Briscoe's shoving him. Like the car's going, and you can see a little bit of noise in the brakes where like he's trying to get it timed right, but then you start banging back and forth.
And being in that middle car that's engaged on both sides is an uncomfortable position to be. It's very uncomfortable. That's why we don't see, like when you see pushes, you see two cars at speedways. That middle car, back when we tandem, we tried to go through, it doesn't work. It's a very uncomfortable.
2, 3.
3 doesn't work. 2 was great, 3 didn't work. But that middle car, because the back car is kind of driving, the back of the car went round on you, you're trying to work that out. It puts you in an uncomfortable position, and I think that's ultimately Christopher Bell doesn't get to throttle and build the momentum coming forward because of it.
All right, with all that breakdown, and now that you know that we believe Briscoe has as much to do with what works in front of him than anybody else, rewatch this in real time, and you will see the 20 bounces off the bumper of the 11. The 11 can't back up to him now. The 22 connected. I mean, look, it hasn't separated. He lifts and lets the 67 drive off his corner. Now, he misses the bottom, which is what gives the 11 the chance. The 11 gets back to his inside, tries to, and Corey Heim shows why he's going to be a future superstar as he shuts the door. Game over, Brickyard 400.
This is a move that wins the Brickyard 400. This is a situation where you have to be selfish. And doesn't matter whether you're Corey Heim driving for Bootie Barker in 2311. You're not driving for Denny Hamlin at this point. You're driving for yourself, and he does. I think an aggressive move. Denny kind of got there, but that's what you've got to do to win this race.
Yeah,
I love the fact that Corey Heim did it.
Yeah, I mean, there it is, right? That's the breakdown. And what I think is a good reminder, let's just bring this up. Denny Hamlin, 64 wins. Christopher Bell, 13 wins. Chase Briscoe, 6 wins. So we're talking over 70-something wins trying to get that orchestrated on these restarts. You can't really sim them. You know, you can go back and relive them, but that's what I love because engineering is kind of driving setups and strategy.
Yes.
But the restarts is still this organic living thing that these guys have to figure out every time.
Yeah, it is, and you put yourself in a position, especially on that bottom, because even Chase Briscoe has Tyler Reddick behind him. You can see him favor down. That breaks a little bit of the momentum on the bottom, just playing a little defense. That outside lane has to be organized because nobody's going to go 3 wide top.
Yeah, and in the end, it was Corey Heim for the second time in just 15 starts going to victory lane. Back in the lab here on Inside the Race with my old buddy Todd Gordon, championship crew chief, and I'm glad I have his help because the Brickyard 400, as expected, became a fuel management race. Todd, I don't mean as much from the driver. So yeah, save a little when you can. I mean, crew chief, getting fuel in the car, and when to pit.
Yeah, when you look at this, this is a crew chief strategy race, and it starts from the green flag, but you've got to figure out how you allocate your fuel allotment. This is a race that track position matters the most, and you've got to, this is a 3-stop race. When you look at it, just physically, how many gallons it's going to take, 50 to 55 gallons of fuel to run this race. So how do we break that up? Where do we put it in?
Well, Todd mentions it, and I think that's going to be the start. To understand the strategy and what we're looking to break down here, every car needs to add 50 to 55 gallons on top of what they start with throughout the course of the day to run 400 miles. I don't think there's any better comparison about different ways to do it than race winner Corey Heim and 12th place finisher Ty Gibbs. Both Toyotas, one out of 2311, one out of Joe Gibbs Racing, both very fast and split decisions. So I'm going to go to the board. We have a lot to break down. Pit stop comparisons. Position, car number, the winner, Corey Heim, 12th place, we have Gibbs. We also have, there are 3 stops. So you're going to help me with some drawing. Let's start with the top. We'll take the race winning strategy. 44 laps have been run. That's important because it means he burns a bunch of gas, right? 14-second pit stops. So let's put a 20 above him.
He's going to be able to put 20 gallons in here, right?
All right, so now we need 50 or a little over. He's already got 20 in. Next stop, another 4-tire stop. After running 47 laps, we're going to give him another 20 gallons.
Yep.
So now in our game show of gas right here, he has 40 gallons.
So he needs
10, maybe 12. And I would say right here, a 5-second pit stop, 2 gallons a second. I would say you put in 11 gallons would be my quick math.
Okay, let's give him that.
All
Say
right.
11. That puts him at north of 50.
Yeah, north of 50 probably.
But that 11 gallons, because it's 5.5 seconds, that opens up Bootie Barker to call a 2-tire stop, which he did.
Now let's compare it to Ty Gibbs. He pits on lap 30.
Yes.
And why that matters is because he's only used 30 laps worth of fuel. So in 10 seconds, he is only adding, I'm guessing, 14 gallons at most.
It's going to be, when you look at it, this can here holds 14 gallons.
And in 9.9 seconds, he only got 1 can in.
That's all you can get in there, so at most, he's put 14 in it.
All right, so now Tyler Allen says, man, I got to get a little more aggressive. He runs 44 laps. We're going to give him 20 gallons.
He got himself a full can here. Yes, full fuel load, 2 cans.
So unfortunately, that means right here in this last pit stop, he's going to have to add, 34.
He needs 16 gallons?
Yeah, I agree. At least 15. If he matches just the guy above, he's going to get 15. And I think we're being nice giving him 20 here. So it's definitely 2 cans, which is the difference.
Anything more than 14, he's got to go to the second can.
That's what, if he could somehow only need 14, he had a chance.
That becomes a 9-second
Well,
pit
yeah,
stop.
it's 3 seconds right here. He would drop right off.
That's what
this.
it is. So that
I understand this call. I don't think what maybe we talked about enough is this coloring. When this went from green to yellow, that took this extra time for Tyler Allen and Ty Gibbs, and it just made it an absolute, killer to their strategy.
Yes, because under green, you've got the track position of where you are. You might be over a second between positions. So that stop in itself being 7 seconds slower, that's only going to be at most 7 positions. It's probably less than that.
So I did it. I was curious. How was it going to work out? Ty Gibbs came in leading, returned 14th under yellow.
Caution.
Under yellow. If at the moment of yellow I took the gap, which was continuing to widen, if he pits and everyone in the lead lap does the same times of pit stops, I didn't assume times. I said, man, we'll give Corey Heim a 5.5-second stop.
Yep.
Ty Gibbs pits from the lead, take everyone's pit stop. He rejoins the racetrack in 3rd position.
And I would argue that he may restart better than that, because under green cycles, I think crew chiefs call a different race. There's going to be much less 2-tire calls. There are going to be more 4-tire calls. Because there's not the penalty of losing so many positions on pit road under green, I think the crew chiefs get a little more conservative on tires and make the more aggressive call. He may be 2nd coming out of this.
He rejoined 14th. He finished 12th. If he rejoins 3rd, does he somehow pass the tour from him? I don't know. But I can at least see where the crew chiefs. Bootie Barker should celebrate. Called an amazing race. But I do see Tyler Allen's approach here. It's just that caution he just couldn't see.
And the part of this that kind of gets lost is by pitting at 30,
That's right. This is by design, right?
That got them stage points.
That's what we don't talk about. Like why? When the fans watching, why come at 30?
Because you've now split it kind of in half. You've used a good part of the tires on both sides of it to leap forward. You're in a position where you can 2-stop forward from here, but you put yourself in stage positions. Oh, by the way, Ty Gibbs, second most points gathered at Indianapolis.
Well, and this is not the first time, right? The same thing happened at the road courses. They got stage points, and it's easy to be frustrated. But now Ty Gibbs is 4th in the standings, right? 4th in the standings for Ty Gibbs. So
and
they're
close to Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, where that reset's going to be, Ty Gibbs is lining up very nicely.
And he's guaranteed into the chase.
I tell you, it's a good year for Ty Gibbs. He got that win at Bristol, a little bit short at Indianapolis, but when you really break down exactly the path they were on, it makes sense that was derailed by a late yellow. All right, as promised, winning crew chief Bootie Barker, a very old friend of mine. We've known each other for decades. He's been around the garage for over 600 starts, a whole bunch of wins, 2 wins just this year with Corey Heim. Bootie, thanks for joining, my man.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, we were roommates. That's right. So we go way back. How many stars did you have, Steve? Do you know?
Oh, I'm only in the 300s. I'm way younger than you, man. I can't have 600
Yeah,
stars.
but you smart, bro. You got to winning and got that TV money. Got on out of that. You smart man.
Oh man, 21 seasons you've been on top of the pit box. You've won with a bunch at 23-11. Let's talk about Sunday. Let's go to the Brickyard 400 real quick. I know we're gonna get to San Diego and some other things. Unbelievable management of the race, man. I was up there doing my fuel calculations, and I thought Denny was in control, and I said, oh, wait a minute. That 67 needs less fuel than everybody. Was that the plan? Were you fuel management all day long?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to figure it out, Steve. You've already figured it out. So you almost hesitant to say what you did, but people are smart. They kind of know. Yeah, we set up for that last stop to be as quick as we could. Now, you have to be in position the whole time, though, right, Steve? You got to qualify well. You got to execute. You got to have good pace at the track while you're saving fuel. Don't lose any positions. I mean, to win it, to go perfect, you have to have all of that. But that was the plan, yes.
You won at the Brickyard. I don't want to take us down some emotional road, but you and I have both rode the highs and lows of this garage area. And here you are later in life, like I am later in life, and you have this just like lightning rod of a talent sitting in the race car. You won San Diego, you win here. Like, how much fun are you having? I know the level of work has never dipped, and he speaks of you with such high regard with what you give him for a race car. Like, how much fun are you having racing with a 24-year-old that's that good?
It's so much fun. But you remember when you and I were together with Jeff, because we knew it was Jeff Gordon, and we knew we could win every race. I think, I'm not knocking Ray and I'm not knocking nobody else, but all the posters on the wall and the motivational speeches and all that, that didn't do nothing for me. What did it for me was I knew if I did my job the best I could because we had Jeff Gordon, we could win. And it made you better. Corey does that for me and everybody else here. I think you work, you have fun, but it drives you to do more because you know what you can accomplish. Does that kind of make sense?
It's so well said. The greatest anxiety in the world is the anxiety to let down a teammate who you know can do it. Right? When you have someone in that room that you feel can get the job done, you don't want to be that weak link in the chain.
There you go. You said it. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Because you got someone that can get it done. And I know, but I've said this. It's not like I'm saying this now after we've done it. I said it last year and I've said it there. I was like, we can win. And, and what's interesting though, Steve, and you can explain it to people, what hurts us, and it's fair, it's okay. I'm not complaining, but it's just the way it is. When we go somewhere like Chicago or wherever and have to qualify first, and you best you can do is 28th or so, that puts you behind on your pit selection and in your dirty area the whole race. So that makes it very difficult. At San Diego, you see it evened up a little bit. At Indy, as you and I know, going out early is not a big detriment, so it evened it up. So now that puts us in a closer position to the people we're going to be racing. That's the big difference, too.
that leads me right to my next question. For the fans that don't understand, each week the metric, which I'm not going to break down, but it's points and finishing position and all of these things. And because you are a part-time schedule, it puts you at the bottom of the metric. So then you're in the first group of practice, first group of qualifying, which is a detriment at every track we go to other than maybe Indy. Road courses are an exception because there's groups. That's what you were mentioning about San Diego. But this approach, I sometimes think it's overlooked. Connor Zilisch is an unbelievable young talent, but he is fighting this fight week in and week out. You guys at 23XI have come up with this approach of running every, I'm going to say 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know the exact cadence, but there is a gap between events. Is that a preparation? Is that manpower at the shop? Is that for your driver? Without like showing your whole poker hand, what led you guys down that road for that approach with Corey? Because right now you look like Albert Einstein. I mean, you are the genius for coming up with it.
That decision came from Denny, Dave Rogers, Michael Jordan, whoever on the top. It could have been money. It could have been, resources. This year we hired our 67 team. We hired like a full-fledged team for us instead of piecing together, even though the shop did good last year. So it did. So I can't sit here and say the exact reasons why we don't run more than we did, but I think you could probably guess as well as I, as far as, like I said, resources, sponsorship, whatever. But what we have done, Corey and myself and everybody else, is I take advantage of that. You could take lemons and make lemonade, So
yeah,
we've been working for the Brickyard, and we're gonna skip Daytona work, but we're gonna be working for Darlington. I'm gonna start working for Darlington weeks ahead, So when we do show up, we're kind of loaded for bear as best we can be, and that's something others can't do. Now they have other advantages, but we can have a couple of them too.
Yeah, it's funny. You and I joked about this. I forgot about this till you just said it. Remember when we talked about having a crew chief for the short tracks and a crew chief for the big tracks? And one guy could prep for a few weeks and the other guy would prep. Like, remember you and I kicked around that idea of having split, maybe the same guy is technically the crew chief, but like split engineers. We talked about that 20 years ago, that we should have like one race engineer working on the short tracks and one working on the other. Man, it's funny you bring it back.
If you had good people, if you had truly good people, and you had truly people that sacrificed and worked together for that would be the way to do it.
It would be. Hey, man, you're sitting in 23XI. I value your opinion so much, I have to ask you about this. I know this week is about what you and Corey Heim did, so I'm trying not to take away from that. But that building that's built on the side of the 77, that race team that Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin have built, I spent a lot of time around DH. I understand his mental approach. Dave Rogers, Mike Wheeler, you're in the building. It's a stacked talent. David Bryant's running around organizing the mechanics. Like, you have this unbelievable group of talent there. Take me in the walls. You've worked some amazing places. Does it feel different, look different, sound different? Like, what is different, or what's the magic sauce about 23XI?
It's great people. Maybe it comes down from the top. I'd say Rick Hendrick obviously sets a standard for his organization as an example of what you and I worked in, and it. Okay, well, Michael Jordan and Denny, that's pretty good, as far as the top. And then, but it's not like I sit there yesterday and I go, I got to win for Michael Jordan. No, that's not. No, but I know the standard, the expectation, the commitment. I mean, you look at it. I mean, we're all in, Steve. We're all in. All of us are all in. We want to do well, and we have talented people that get along, and it's a pursuit of greatness. Whether we get there or not, I don't know, but it is. Now, what's happened, though, is with all that, though, I have Corey Heim. With all of that, I say I got the 5. I've joked, but it's not a joke. The 5 most important things. And I say those 5 are driver, 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 and driver. Now, you could say 6 would be organization, crew chief, engineering, you lay them out how you want. But I'm the same man I was 20 years ago. So y'all can figure it out. But our organization is superb and our people are great. So we have that. That's true. But I think Corey is the icing on the cake, so to speak.
You know, Bootie, it's funny, you and I agree on this. I'm thankful for everything this sport's delivered me and my opportunity to race for a living. You and I are very similar in that. But make no mistakes about it. The superstars wear fire suits and helmets. They have something that we just can't, like I can't physically do it. I know how a car should be driven, but I'll be damned if I can do it myself. And when you watch that talent, those closing laps, slip sliding around with Bell absolutely putting the heat on your driver, what a drive he had.
He was loose too, Steve. He wasn't even turning the wheel. I mean, but he's going to be loose. You know, at Indy, if some people understand, as conditions get cooler, you gain more front grip, other things happen. Yes. And then also, if let's say you're perfect out front and you ever get behind, you're totally done. So it's a place where that's going to happen. And he drove 30 some laps, Steve, with the heat on him in the biggest race, and just rock solid. And I think that meant, you can tell he's cool hand Luke, man. He's you know it. You know, I believe in him, and I know he's not going. He puts, if we can just keep doing what we're doing, he's going to put pressure on people. You know, they going you know, it's just. But listen, all that right now we're where we should be, but that's the problem in life, right? Is sustaining that drive, to not get distracted, to keep doing the things that got you there. And I know this is early, but I mean, he needs to, and he has. I'm not saying he isn't, but I've reinforced that with him. It's like, man, you're doing the right things. You're doing the right things. You're the right person. You're doing the right things. You handling yourself impeccably. Don't change, man. Don't let this other mess get in the way, you know? And he hasn't. I don't want you to think that's an issue, but I don't want it to be either.
Well, he raced the owner, and when he beat Denny and put the block into turn 2, I said it on air, and I want you to hear it directly from my mouth. I said, Denny Hamlin might be pissed off, but that move is exactly why I hired Corey Heim. Because he's mad, not that Corey Heim, his employee, blocked him. He's mad because he couldn't get to the lead of the Brickyard 400, right? That's not a knock on the guy who did it. And it might not be today or Wednesday because there's emotion tied in. But somewhere, when the pain goes away for Denny Hamlin, he's going to have a big smile to know that that guy drives for him, because that was an amazing drive. Bootie, congratulations. It's so great to see you in the garage every week. I've missed you there for a little bit in the spring. Congratulations on a couple monster wins. Appreciate you joining me here on Inside the Race.
I'm glad you're successful, Steve. You always have been, so it's good to see you, buddy.
Oh, my old friend, Bootie Barker Coochie for Corey Heim at 2311. It's that time of the show where we welcome in Alex Weaver. Alex, you have another episode of Inside the Race Overtime, and somehow you're picking the best guests. Corey Heim is the guy you sat down with.
You know, every once in a while, Steve, a blind squirrel finds a nut. We just got it right for this one. And we talked to Corey. It was an interesting conversation with Corey because it was pre-Brickyard 400. But now knowing that he's our Brickyard 400 winner, he already has a crown jewel. I mean, just a generational, exceptional talent. He is an incredible young man. He speaks so classy and so together. Has his life together on top of things, and then, oh yeah, he just goes and wins at Indy. No big deal.
Well, he's an absolute talent. Second win in only 15 starts. It is an unbelievable run he's on, and to hear some more of that interview, here is Alex Weaver and Corey Heim.
Well, it's very rare that I get to talk to a driver who is not yet a Cup Series regular, but he's already got a Cup Series win. And Corey, I've had this hat sitting back here in my studio since this race. It's the San Diego race. Obviously, it was such a special one for NASCAR, but even more special for you because it was your first Cup Series career win and at one of the most special places that we've been to on a naval base. So now that we are weeks removed from San Diego and you've gotten your first one in the Cup Series, how's it feeling to be a Cup Series San Diego winner?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you can never really prepare for to win your first race, I think, and had a very similar feeling when I won my first truck race. I was part-time. It was kind of earlier in the year. My expectation maybe it wasn't, to win that specific race, but, it all just kind of comes at you so fast, and it's just such a great feeling to kind of have everyone at 2311 and Toyota just come around you and, just be able to celebrate with those people. I think it was just such a special weekend in general, even removed from the win. I think just being there and being a part of that was really cool. And all the pre-race stuff we did was really cool to be a part of. And then just to be able to enjoy the post-race win festivities and everything that entailed was super cool. So, I still get to talk to people here at the shop that I haven't been able to talk to, we've all been so busy the past couple weeks, and still just kind of relive that moment. Certainly really special, and hopefully we can do it again this year.
The call of 2311, when you knew that you were going to come on, and I don't know what exactly the situation was, like, number one, who called you? Like, what was the first interaction that you got knowing that you were going to go race for this team, either part-time or full-time?
The very first real conversation I had at 2311 was with Dave Rogers. He wanted me to be the backup driver for them in 2024.
Okay.
And I was going into my second full-time Truck Series season, and it's like, okay, well, I don't have any, rides lined up or anything like that, but no, this is a good opportunity. Maybe if someone unfortunately like gets sick or whatever. And then I was also with Legacy at the time doing their backup stuff. And that's how I got my first ever Cup Star, was when Eric broke his back in Talladega. I raced 2 races for them, but in the midst of all that happening, Mobile One came on board and said, hey, we want to do this 50 car series, giving opportunities to people at the beginning of their career and the end of their career, and also someone kind of like different. So they gave me the opportunity for kind of the beginning of the career opportunity, and then had Juan Pablo Montoya run like his retirement race basically in Watkins Glen, and then they had Kobayashi come in from Japan and run a race as well. So Mobile One did that whole thing, and then that gave me my first ever start with 2311, and Dave Rogers was my crew chief in that race, and I thought everything went really well. And from there, we started having conversations with Denny as far as kind of what the future looked like, and started talking to MJ as well, which is super cool to kind of be in negotiations with those guys, and it all worked out really well. So yeah, certainly Dave was the first one I ever talked to, and he was also my first crew chief here, so he definitely means a lot for me.
You mentioned having those conversations with Denny and with MJ. When you look at Denny, who I believe is no doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the smartest race car drivers, he just eats, sleeps, breathes. He thinks it constantly. And then you have MJ, who is, sorry, LeBron fans, he's the greatest athlete of all time. He is the GOAT in my mind. I'm a North Carolina girl, so obviously Michael Jordan is just the echelon of athletes for me. But when you're dealing with those two guys as your owners, the culture there, I have to imagine, is like, no, you're going to win. Like, a win is expected from you every single time you hop into a race car. Have you felt that pressure being there, or has it really just been a fun culture and like, hey, I get to drive for two of the greatest athletes?
Yeah, of course there's pressure in the background, but I think especially MJ just does a fantastic job of not putting any more pressure than is necessary. Like, for example, I had a very up and down season last year. I had some good runs. I only ran 4 races for 2311 last year. Had a couple good runs, but also I DNF'd, or not DNF'd, I DNQ'd for Chicagoland, or Chicago Street Course. I missed that race. And then I had like 1 or 2 just really bad races. But MJ will always reach out after a race, whether it goes good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, whether it's a keep your head up or congratulations, like he's always supportive. And you can tell it's not artificial either. He's like he's actually, the words he's saying mean something, and he's just really good about articulating that. So I know after a bad race, I'm not like, oh boy, here we go. I open my phone and here's like a text from MJ. It's always like a good thing. I know he's just going to say like, keep your head up. Like, what do you need to do better? Or what do we need to help you, type of thing. So yes, there's pressure knowing that we're, this is probably the fastest team in the garage right now. But at the same time, like, no one is in my face telling me I have to perform or doing things. It's more about like, how can we help you succeed? Not like, why are you not succeeding?
Thank you for joining me here on Inside the Race, and a long list of people to thank: Kyle Petty and Motorsport.com's Matt Weaver for joining me here in the studio, Todd Gordon for jumping in the lab and helping me break down everything technical, Alex Weaver for another great sit down on NASCAR Inside the Race Overtime, and my old friend Bootie Barker. From Victory Lane to here in studio virtually, it was great to catch up with Bootie. For this weekend coming up, don't forget the Cup Series, they're off. No race this weekend. You enjoy your weekend. A week and a half from now, we will return at Iowa Speedway on a new network. So get that DVR set, get your channel set. We will be moving to USA Sports. Lee Diffie, myself, Jeff Burton up in the booth. My buddy Dale Jarrett will be on the pre-race. A lot of good things around the corner. A week and a half from now when NASCAR hits the track at Iowa.